Okay, to export a map as a PDF, which is how I'll ask for all maps for this class, I'm pretty sure. You'll create your PDF or your layout here. Just remember, if you go to File, Page, and Print Setup, you can change the resulting size of your print. So when we create it, it's going to create it at this size, at the borders of this page that we had originally changed. And of course, we can make this any size we want if we ever want to change it. But usually, I'll just ask for like a page size map, which is 8.5 by 11. Okay, that's all you have to know for that. And then it did have an option here, so don't get confused. Like if you go to Page and Print Setup, it's saying you could do Microsoft Printed PDF, but that's not the good way to do it. The good way is File, Export, which is right near Page and Print Setup. You go to Export Map, and you pick here the type as PDF. And there's a lot of other types. While we're here, just to tell you about them, AI is Adobe Illustrator. EPS and EMF, or EPS is more of a like an Illustrator kind of Photoshop kind of format. EMF is a neat one. I could show you sometime. Get that on the video. SVG is more of a Photoshop kind of thing. JPEG and PNG are both like, and GIF are both like typical images. And that's kind of like what I pulled the logo off online. It's a JPEG. PNGs just have a little bit of extra functionality where sometimes you can have transparent stuff added with them. And a TIFF is a more like for bigger images. You have like, I don't know. Yeah, it's like a TIFF could be like raster data in GIS. I think it's mainly used because you can make like the pyramids thing. If you remember reading about that in the last chapter, it was like, so you can have multiple tiles and it can render really quickly for different scales of the thing because it's usually so big, like it stores a lot of data. Anyway, PDF is completely different than everything else. It just creates a PDF. So you can do this in a couple of ways. Sometimes when you make a map, it's so big that you want to reduce the quality, because you'll get like a 30 megabyte PDF, and that's way too much. You want to keep it like around 5 megabytes and below. But here on the sample quality, you can just leave it at best, and then DPI, you can leave it at 300. This is probably what your settings are, but the only reason you would change them to be lower is if your file size was too big. The thing we were talking about, if you check this box, it would clip it to the extent of the thing that's farthest out on your map, but I don't like to do that because then it will actually export it to the edges of the page. There are some other things in the PDF options. Just to flip through, just to show you what my options are in case you want to make them the same. I don't have an opinion on things here. It used to be that you had to embed fonts into the PDF if you were going to send it to a computer that didn't have the same set of fonts installed. So that's why sometimes you open a PDF, you get like a Chinese symbol for like a north arrow or something. It's probably why. But if it happens to you, let me know. Pages, security, I guess you can add security. Oh, and these days you can actually put map information into a PDF. For some programs can actually use that. But whatever, you can do it or not. So basically the options are you change it to PDF and you change it to 300 best sample ratio, and you make sure that's not checked, and then you give it a good name and you put it somewhere you're going to remember where you put it. And for you guys, for your homework, it'd be great if you could put, like if it was me, I'd put C Brown, like class 3, a date maybe, which dates you should start with a year, 2019, and then go for the month, and then go for the day. And that makes it so if you sort something, it'll actually go in the right order. But anyway, that's all the options I can think of to cover on that. And now you have a PDF, and it's actually interesting. If you look at this PDF, you get an idea. See how I made all these gray, but you can see how the regions of the USA, I didn't make that gray, and it's a little bit intense how black that is. It's just, it's funny, like that. If I was going to do this again, I would make that gray instead of black. But I guess that's it. PDF. If I hold control and I scroll, I can zoom in on it. And yeah.